All right, let's get into it. The snow's melting, the ground's finally thawing out, and you know what that means? It's almost time to fire up the heavy equipment and get back to work. But hold on. After a long, brutal winter, you can't just hop in, turn the key, and go. So we're going to run through the essential pre-flight checklist to make sure your machines are actually ready for action, and not a surprise trip to the repair shop.
And hey, that is no exaggeration. While your machines have been sitting there looking peaceful, the cold, the moisture, all those temperature swings, they've been doing a number on them. Firing up a machine that isn't ready isn't just a gamble, it's pretty much an invitation for some catastrophic, season-ending damage.
So here's what you've got to understand. It's what winter does to a machine that's just sitting. You've got thermal contraction, which makes seals shrink up and start to leak. Then there's moisture from condensation that gets into everything, contaminating your fluids. And those fluids themselves, they can break down or even turn to gel, basically losing their ability to protect all those vital components.
That is the million-dollar question, right? A big machine is a complex beast, but if we break it down into a logical checklist, we can tackle this thing systematically and make sure we don't miss any of those hidden winter traps.
Okay, first things first, the lifeblood of your equipment. Seriously, without healthy fluids and clean fuel, nothing else really matters. This is where some of the most common and, most costly winter-related problems are hiding.
This right here is your #1 visual clue. Go on, pull the dipstick on your hydraulic reservoir. You want to see nice, clean, clear oil. If what you see looks more like a bad cup of coffee with way too much cream, well, you've got a problem.
And what's really sneaky about this is how it happens. As the temperatures swing up and down all winter, condensation forms inside the tank, water, and it mixes right in with the oil. This watery, milky stuff, it doesn't lubricate. It'll destroy pumps and valves in no time. If you see this, you have to stop. Drain it, flush the system, and get fresh fluid in there. No shortcuts.
Next up, your coolant, and its health is about way more than just not freezing. You can grab some simple test strips to check it out. If your coolant looks like rusty water, well, you've got a major corrosion problem brewing. And if its freeze point is too high, that just means the water to antifreeze ratio is way off, leaving your engine totally vulnerable. Time to flush it.
Now let's talk fuel. Guess what? Condensation happens in the fuel tank too. So step 1 is super easy. Drain your water separators and get that moisture out of there. And step 2, the diesel fuel that's been sitting all winter long can degrade, or worse, it can gel up into a waxy substance that'll clog your filters in a heartbeat. Best bet is to get some fresh fuel in there to ensure a clean start.
All right, let's jolt the nervous system of the machine back to life, the electrical components. The cold is a battery's absolute worst enemy, and waking up the electrical system the right way takes a little more than just turning the key. And here's why. That cold just slows the chemical reaction inside a battery way down, causing it to lose its charge over a few months. At the same time, the plastic and rubber insulation on all your wires gets hard and brittle. That means it's just waiting to crack, which can lead to some pretty dangerous short circuits.
So, your action plan here is pretty straightforward. First, get a multimeter on that battery and check the voltage. If it's low, it needs a good, proper charge. Second, clean off any of that crusty corrosion from the terminals. You need a solid connection. And finally, take a moment and just carefully look over the wiring for any visible cracks or damage. All right, fluids are good, electrical's good. Now it's time to look at the parts that hold it all together and do the heavy lifting. The skeleton and skin of your machine.
Take a slow walk around the entire machine and really look at every single hydraulic hose and seal. That thermal contraction we talked about can cause rubber to shrink just enough to break its seal. That leads to leaks that you might not even notice until the whole system is under pressure.
And weeping, that's the words you're looking for. It's not some dramatic spray of oil. It's just a slow, greasy film that tells you a seal is starting to fail. Catching this now saves you from a blown hose and a massive, frustrating cleanup job right in the middle of a workday.
Oh man, this is a big one. And it's so easy to overlook. Any of your hydraulic cylinder rods that have been exposed have been sitting out in the rain, snow, and ice all winter. They are just magnets for rust and pitting.
The sequence here is absolutely critical. Look for any rust, any grime on that shiny chrome surface. If you see any, you must clean it off with a cloth, with solvent, whatever it takes, before you start the machine and retract that cylinder. Because if you don't, you are literally dragging sandpaper past the hydraulic seal and you will shred it instantly. That is a very, very expensive mistake.
Let's move to the joints. Every pin and bushing has a grease zerk for a reason. Grab your grease gun and pump fresh grease into every single one until you see the old, dirty stuff pushing out. See, this does more than just lubricate. It physically forces out any trapped moisture and grit. It's like a full detox for every joint on your machine.
We are in the home stretch. The machine's core systems have been checked out. Now it's time for that final walk around to make sure it's actually safe and ready to move.
For you folks with tracked machines, get down on the ground and look at that undercarriage. Water can pool around the rollers and then freeze, seizing them up solid. Plus, that whole freeze-thaw cycle can cause cracks in the track pads themselves. Give it all a really good look.
And speaking of what's underneath, let's not forget the tires. Over a long winter, with those big temperature swings, it's totally normal to see a tire pressure drop of up to 20 psi. I mean, that's a huge drop. Operating on underinflated tires is not only unsafe, it will absolutely destroy them. Check them all and air them up.
Now for a question you probably haven't thought to ask. Who moved in while you were away? Your nice, dry, sheltered machine made a pretty cozy home for some small, furry squatters.
That's right. Pop open that air filter box. Check all the engine intakes for nests. Sucking a mouse nest into your engine is a surefire way to cause some really serious damage. It's a 2-minute check that can save you a world of hurt.
And that really just says it all, doesn't it? None of these checks are that hard or take that much time. But by investing a few hours now, you are preventing the very breakdowns that cost you time, cost you money, and blow your deadlines once the season really gets going.
So when you walk out to your machine tomorrow, what's the first thing on your list? What are you going to check first? Because skipping that one little step could be the difference between a profitable season and a broken one.